You know the story about the kids that are always finding the stray animals and taking them home, and yeah, that was me. My name's Missy Houghton, and I've been at the Humane Society for almost 13 years. I thought that the kennel position sounded fun, so I applied, and a couple months after I got hired in, the executive director quit for health reasons. Learn by the seat of your pants and a lot of on-the-job experience. So I always had all the stray cats, stray dogs, loved all the animals. So it was just something that I've always had an interest in working with some type of animals. Once we started working there, I realized we didn't have a humane agent. So I realized that that was something that we needed in our community, was somebody that could handle the neglect and abused and abandoned animal situations. And then as myself and the other humane agent got into that, we started to see what a deep need there was for that, how much education was needed for proper pet ownership and responsible ownership. And it's just kind of snowballed from there, because the longer you're in a field, I think the more you see the need for that field. Working on low-cost spay and neuter, there's a lot of people that have pets but for whatever reason are unable to afford to spay or neuter, which leads to an overpopulation. We have a very large cat overpopulation issue here in Richland County, and I think that a lot of that is to people moving and leaving their cats behind, not spaying and neutering, letting their cats outdoors without spaying and neutering. So we are working on that at our facility. We started doing low-cost spay and neuter, and we're trying to expand that into the public. Everything that's adopted from our shelter is fixed, but that is something that we see a lot of. A lot of times people fall on hard times and they just can't afford to feed their pets. Some people just simply don't care whether or not they can, but then there's people that truly want to and just can't afford to. We have a pet food bank at our facility where we can give out food to help people for up to a year, and then just general education on, like, you have to provide shelter outside, and sometimes there's people that growing up that's what they saw, but a lot of the situations that we see are not out and out what we would call acts of cruelty, but overall just neglect, whether it be through willful neglect or just uneducation about certain situations. Our shelter is one of the oldest ones in Ohio. So our Humane Society was founded in the late 1800s. We had a financial crisis a few years ago, and so I think when we reached out to the public, there's a lot of times that we go and our work goes kind of unnoticed until it got brought to the forefront, and I think people realized when there was a chance that the Humane Society could go away, this is important work and we need to support it. It's sometimes hard to get people to realize how much we need their support when you're not out there in the public eye all the time. But we were blown away by the community support, because we asked for help and they just open arms. So that was very faith restoring for the staff and the board at the Humane Society, because there's a lot of times we feel people are just angry because we can't do everything to please everybody. But then when we had that outpouring of the community, we're like, oh, they really like us. We had like a Sally Field moment. We're like, oh my gosh, they really like us. Ending the pit bull ban here in Mansfield, it's important for responsible owners to be able to own whatever animal they want to own. Dog-wise, for me, that was really big, because there's a lot of really good dogs that got overlooked simply because what they look like. We've spoken to state senate about puppy mills and things like that. I feel that we are constantly pushing towards making the best community that we can for the animals in our community. And I think that sometimes that's just as important, to constantly keep pushing towards it. So Vandy, she came in, it was in March, and somebody had seen her at their friend's house, and she had, it looked like burns on the top of her head, so her skull was exposed and an ear was missing. So we had called around, we reached out to Dr. Schuler over at Horizon Animal Hospital, and Vandy was only like 6 weeks old. She could fit in the palm of your hand. So we reached out to Dr. Schuler, and he was like, yeah, I think I can do this. He was like, it's a plastic surgery, and stitched it together. He's like, but I think she should be fine. So when she turned 8 weeks old, he did that surgery. We were very lucky because we were able to reach out, we were able to help her, and she was able to bring awareness to the fact that sometimes these horrible injuries happen and we don't know how, but it's important that we're there to be able to save animals like that have that happen to them. Sometimes there's horrible people that will do these things to animals, and it shows that we're willing to take a risk to try and save even the smallest of the animals, because we truly believe that an animal should have a right to live. There has to be somebody there that's willing to kind of step up and offer a safe place for that animal to recover. And we're lucky that our shelter is able to do that for many animals. And we're still trying to figure out the best way to serve our community. But that is our goal, is to compassionately advocate and care for the animals in our community while trying to find them a loving home. So, and we're trying to always work towards that goal.